Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Ann Reardon and today we are making a giant Oreo. But this is not just any giant Oreo. This is actually a chocolate Oreo that is also a box, and you can fill it with whatever you like. To make this, take some chocolate, break it up and put it into a bowl. Once you've done that with all your chocolate, heat it in the microwave for 30 seconds and then stir it. Give it another 30 seconds in the microwave and then stir it again. It is important that you stir it because microwaves heat unevenly, and if you don't stir it, some of the chocolate will burn. This is looking nearly done, so now I'll give it another 10-second burst. And that is looking nice and melted. Add a candy thermometer to the side and let that cool down. Because it's dark chocolate, we want it to get down to about 31 degrees C. To speed that up, I like to put the bottom of the bowl in a sink of cold water. While we're waiting for it to cool, chop up some Oreos into small chunks. You don't want crumbs, you just want chunks, so just roughly chop them. Now that the chocolate is at the right temperature, add in some freeze-dried cocoa powder. This is my favourite way to temper chocolate because it's the quickest. If you want to use other ways to do it, then I'll link you to my chocolate secrets video at the end that explains exactly how to do that, and so that you can temper your chocolate. If you don't temper it, it won't be set at room temperature. It will still be soft on your fingers. I found these Oreo tins full of Oreo cookies at the shops for half price this week, and when I felt the top it was embossed, and I thought, you know what? If the underneath of this lid is embossed too, we might be able to use it as a mould. So I brought it home and ta-da! It is embossed, so we're going to try and use this as a mould for our chocolate. Pour in the tempered chocolate. Don't you just love watching chocolate flow? And then just spread that out right to the edges. Pick it up and drop it onto the counter a few times, and I'm doing this just to get rid of any air bubbles because we want the chocolate to go right into all the grooves on the tin. We don't want little air bubbles in our pattern. Next, add some chunks of Oreo, because I assume if you're making this as a gift for someone that they probably like Oreos, so I thought we better include it somewhere in the recipe. It also reduces the amount of chocolate you need, which is probably going to keep the cost down a little bit. Top that off with more chocolate. You need to do that so it's like encasing the Oreos in chocolate, which is a bit like putting them in an airtight container. It will help keep them crunchy and fresh. You obviously need to make 2 of these, one for the base and one for the lid. To make the sides, you can use the tin itself, but then the white is going to come right to the edge. So if you want to, if you have a smaller cake tin or a cake ring, you can use that instead. Pop some acetate inside the cake ring and then just mark where it joins so you know how much chocolate you're going to need. On the acetate, draw a line to the height you want your white to be, and then put a piece of foil right across where that line goes. Obviously you can make that as tall or as narrow as you like. The taller it is, the more you'll be able to fit into your box. And then at the end here where we drew that other line, you need another piece of foil there, so that the only piece of acetate you can see is the bit that we want covered in chocolate. Pour on some tempered white chocolate all the way along that strip, and then spread it out in a long, even layer. Not too thin because it has to be strong enough to hold up our chocolate lid. Peel off the extra foil and then lift the acetate and move it so you have a nice straight line on all the sides. And you want to let that just start to set. You don't want it to be too hard or it's going to crack, but too soft and it's going to drip down. So just keep an eye on it and quickly add it into your cake ring. And I'm just going to add a little bit more chocolate at the join here to make sure it's sealed and it's nice and strong. Okay, time to see if this idea has worked. Let's just flip it over and take it off. Oh my goodness, would you look at that? It's beautiful, it's perfect, it worked so well. I'm really happy with that. This is gonna look good. So I'm gonna actually flip this one upside down and use it for the base. Gently pull the white chocolate out of the cake ring and peel off the acetate from the outside. Heat an empty pan over a stovetop. Take your white chocolate ring and pop it into the pan. It doesn't need to be in there too long. We're not trying to melt the whole thing, just melt a little layer on the bottom edge and then pop it right in the center of your base. Then you can fill the box with something like Oreos, or if you don't want to do that, you could use strawberries, or even more chocolates, depending on who you're giving this to as a gift and what they'd like. Really, you could do anything, an engagement ring, jelly beans, whatever. Let me know what you'd like to find inside this box. And then you just add your lid on top. And if you wrapped that in cellophane, it would make a fantastic gift, and it's really not hard to make at all. Subscribe to How to Cook That and turn on notifications by hitting the bell. Click here for more of my crazy sweet creations. Put all of your requests in the comments below. Make it a great week, and I'll see you on Friday.